Okay, so we'll start the show. Welcome back to my podcast. I'm being seriously. This is a person that did a tattoo on me before, and I'm not going to say your name so that way you can introduce yourself. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Gabriel Gonzalez. And that's my name.
Okay. Where are you from?
I'm originally from Torrance, California.
Okay.
I grew up in LA when I was young, moved to Torrance and just
What
stayed
part of
around.
LA?
Honestly, like a little bit around above South Central area.
Okay.
I think the last address that I remember being on is some apartment on Jefferson.
Okay.
So around
So
that
when you were
area.
really young?
Oh yeah, I think we moved when we were like 6 or 7, somewhere
Okay.
around there.
Okay.
Into Torrance. And then grew up in Torrance, Gardena area the
Okay.
rest of my life.
Did you like, would you consider yourself like more from Gardena or Torrance?
I definitely consider myself a South Bay
Okay.
kid.
Cool. And what was that like?
It was cool. I don't have like that crazy, gang life type of story. I grew up with great parents,
Yeah.
good friends around me, Now back in the days, there's always bad influences everywhere, but I grew up pretty calmly.
Good. Yeah, because it's like a stereotype that most tattoo artists have like that gang life background.
Yeah. Now my apprenticeship was a different story. My apprenticeship was in the heart of South Central.
Okay.
So then I got to see a little bit more of what I didn't get to see growing up.
Yeah.
Like as a child, I guess you could say.
Did you know what you wanted to be when you were a kid?
Definitely,
yeah,
definitely. Okay. Artistry has ran in my family, my dad's side of the family, for as long as I could remember. My dad's a great artist.
Yeah.
Loves to paint on his free time. Hides from my mom in the garage painting. My uncle, which is his half brother, amazing artist too. I remember growing up, seeing him draw, and it was cool because growing up he was more of my brother than an uncle, because he was closer to my age than he was to my dad.
Yeah.
And he's the one that kind of got me into the tattooing.
Cool.
Since he was older, I remember him picking me up in the 4th grade, and he was in the Army. So he got a tattoo band around with his unit. And so when he picked me up that summer from summer school, it was like my first time seeing a tattoo. And I was like, what's
Your parents
that?
don't have tattoos or anything?
My mom completely, no. My dad has 2 hearts and an arrow and his initials and an old ex-girlfriend's initials that he said he had. He did when he was 15.
Okay.
But I grew up thinking it was a birthmark because it's so blurry, it's so gone.
Okay.
And it was kind of like greenish bluish that like, I think it was maybe veins or something.
Yeah.
And he never told me it was a tattoo.
That's so funny.
So later on, I found out that it was a tattoo. I was like, oh, okay. You have one, right? And then my grandma told me, oh, he did it with his brother when they were 15.
Like the stick and poke
Yeah,
thing?
the stick and poke.
Okay.
So I was like, okay.
So what were you saying about your uncle, also cousin?
So my uncle picked me up from school, saw the first tattoo, and I remember specifically learning that about jobs that year in summer school. And,
how old were you?
4th grade to 5th.
Okay. So you're probably like
10. And I was like, is that a job? And I was already drawing like Dragon Ball Z, Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. And he's like, yeah, I guess you can call it a job. That was it.
Really?
Yeah. From that day, I was all like, that's my job.
What I want to be.
That's what I want to be.
That's so cool.
And then it was cool because he ended up moving to the apartment next to me around that time. And he would always get the old school Tattoo Flash magazines and all that cool stuff. He was a great artist. And heavy metal magazines. So I would go through the magazines and like grab my little pencil and paper, and back when WWE was WWF, and we would watch wrestling, and I would be drawing and copying the tattoos that I would see on his magazines.
Yeah.
And then from there, I would see the ads like, your little tattoo kit from Cam Tattoo Supplies, and Superior Tattoo Supplies, and all those places that had cool little catalogs back in the days.
Yeah.
And I saved up the little amount during like my middle school years, little pennies that they would give me.
Yeah.
And I convinced him through his girlfriend I had the money, it was my money, but to buy me and order me the kit.
Because you couldn't yet.
Because I couldn't. I was a freshman, going into freshman.
Okay.
So, he took a little bit of convincing. He was scared of
your parents finding out.
Yeah. I was like, of course I'm not going to snitch. Who's going to snitch? But he was dating this girl at the time, and he was really into her, so I was smart. I was like, let me talk to his girlfriend. First. And I told her, her name was Jessica. I was like, hey, can you convince my uncle to order this for me? It's like, I don't want to be out in the streets doing things. I want to be locked up in my room with my friends.
Yeah.
You make a point there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good sell.
Trust me, it's street smarts I've always had.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, you got a good point there. So she talked to him, and he ordered it. And he actually had it shipped to my friend's address because he was too scared to get it shipped, to his. Mm-hmm. My friend's like, just put my address on it. So we did it. And yeah, summer of freshman year.
Yeah.
I had my first little professional tattoo kit.
That's so cool. Did you start tattooing them?
Right after that, not knowing what the fuck I was doing.
Did you tattoo on yourself first? Or?
Yeah, I had a couple. I did couple tattoos on my thighs, but at the time I had a high school friend of mine. Mm-hmm. He was a foster kid. He lived at a foster home. The foster parents were chill foster parents. Yeah. They really didn't.
Not strict.
But before I got that kid, there was an older kid named Rob there. He had a homemade tattoo machine kit. Mm. So he gave it to Anthony, which was my friend at the time. And me and Anthony did a couple tattoos on each other with the homemade stuff, guitar string and all that stuff. There used to be a guitar center near the house. And
so what do you do with the guitar string? I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, it's old school. You could, a lot of, Chicanos in the pin do stuff like that. They would get the guitar string, cut it, make the homemade, tattoo machine using a CD player, whole bunch of little components, a battery, or they'll do the wiring to the outlet, which is the most dangerous one. Yeah. Just do the battery, you know what I mean?
Shit.
But yeah, and then you just file it down to make a point, put it through the lead pencil or pen or whatever they chose as the ink. The mechanical part of the hold.
Oh, okay.
And then it would just turn into a needle.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Back in the days, we were looking at old school how to make it, you know what I mean, before the kit. But so Rob started us with that. Then I ordered the kit, and then me and Anthony just locked ourselves up in his room and started tattooing each other.
So were you guys tattooing people from your high school?
At the time, not yet, just mostly each other. Okay. One of my favorite stories is when I first got the tattoo kit, it came with needles, and I had no knowledge of tattooing other than reading magazines or the internet. Yeah. But the internet was it was still early, right. And there wasn't too many tattoo videos of how to stuff yet. And and when I started, there was still no TV shows. There was no Miami Ink. Yeah. No, that was 4 years after that stuff came out. So it was still taboo. Yeah. For the gangsters, goths, the weird people, anybody that just wanted to be different. Yeah. So unless you actually went to a tattoo shop to ask, I didn't know anything. Yeah. So according to me, because of what I saw on magazines, I did a tattoo on him that had 4 different colors. And I remember opening up one needle for each color, and doing the tattoo, not knowing that you can use the same needle. You just have to rinse it in between colors and continue.
I was going to ask you about that, in terms of because I know the hygiene part and cleaning and stuff is super important.
Yes.
So since you didn't have YouTube or things like that, how did you know how to do that?
It was basic knowledge that you put gloves on. We would always see everybody gloves, and we knew that we were working with blood. Yeah. Again, it was common to know that we weren't going to use the same needle on each other. Yeah. And everything that we had bought in at the time came individually wrapped. The only thing that I didn't have were the tubes, that back then were stainless steel. Now there's disposable one-time uses that are plastic, that are easier for the health department to work with and all that stuff because it's, one-time use, But like I said, I just did the old school stuff that I thought was right. So we would, clean the tubes, boil them and all that stuff, and then just assume that they were
That's
clean.
so funny.
But we weren't really tattooing people. It was just me and Anthony. You know what I mean?
That's so cool. And so did your friend become a tattoo artist?
No. He was also a musician. He liked to play rock. I think that was more of his passion.
Okay. That's cool that you had a friend to do that with.
So we started that off, and then eventually, from what I remember, his sister got custody of him, and then he took off and all that stuff. And then Rob, the older kid that gave us the first kit, he turned 18, and then he left. After Rob left, another new kid came by named Emmanuel. Me and him became really, really good friends for a long period of time. And well, it was me and Anthony kicking it. Emmanuel was trying to join the group, right? And then he goes, "Oh, my stepdad's a tattoo artist." And we're like, "Shut! No, you're not. No, you're not. You know what I mean? No, he isn't. Stop lying. Stop trying to be cool." We're like a year or two older than him, so I had my driver's license. So I was like, "Oh yeah, you're for us. Let's go. Let's get in the car. Let's go visit him." Okay. And then, his stepdad was a tattoo artist. His name, it was Boris Garcia, also known as Bear. He had a tattoo shop in South Central on Western and Vernon called Bear's Tattoos. And that's pretty much where I got my start.
Okay.
Because after that, he introduced us to his stepdad. And I was like, oh, this motherfucker's not like lying. He was for real, right? And that was it. That was history right there. That's where history started for me.
So you did your apprenticeship
with him.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
At 16, I met him, and took me a first couple tries of going to visit. So you started your
apprenticeship at 16?
Roughly. Okay. Yeah, and I finished it like around 19-ish.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said it was a long apprenticeship.
Yeah, 3 years because I was young.
Okay.
So when I first started, obviously they knew that I was a kid still. So I just did whatever they wanted me to do. I was cleaning their tubes. I was making needles for them. I was setting up for them. I was doing anything and everything but tattooing. Yeah. Which is honestly the best way to start learning the trade, like because good habits of cleaning and all that stuff. That's where I learned how to clean. That's where I learned what an ultrasonic cleaner was, what an autoclave stuff, which a lot of that stuff is very similar to the dentistry industry. It's the same stuff that they clean their utensils with.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But,
like sterilizing.
Yeah, so during school or after school, we would jump in the car, head to the shop.
And so during this time, your parents knew about it already?
No.
Oh, shit.
No. They knew nothing of tattooing. Okay. That I was tattooing.
So they didn't know where you were going after school?
No, I had a car.
Okay.
You
were out.
I wasn't like a bad kid. I did got in trouble here and there, but like they trusted me just to have my car, and as long as I got home before dark or call them, or just call me, you know what I mean? So I'd let them know, I'm at Anthony's house, or I'm at so-and-so's house. But I was at the tattoo shop. Yeah.
Okay. So would you say that I hear a lot of people have like hard apprenticeships, not nowadays, but like in the past.
Yeah, mine was pretty hard. I was 16 through 19. Yeah. Because he treated me the same the whole time. Okay. They used to call me youngster because I was the youngest in the, in the shop. I'm 16 through 19 and they were all 35 plus. So, they were nice to me, but they weren't nice to me. I remember a story, Mike, one of the guys that taught me, he made me go clean tubes. Old school style, you know what I mean? When the sink, cleaning every tube. I was doing everybody's tubes. And he came in one day, grabbed the tube, grabbed a Q-tip, screwed the tube, hard as hell, pulled it out, and it came out gray. He goes, "This one's dirty." I was all like, okay, I was going to clean. In my head, young. Oh, I'm going to just clean that one. He goes, "No, clean all of them, because if this one's dirty, they're all dirty." What? So I was just like, fuck, I had just done like 60 tubes. Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. So there I go, grabbing all of them, popping them out of all the pre-packaging stuff that you put into the autoclave, popped them all out and did them all over again. Yeah. And I was just like, damn, it took me a whole hour and plus to do all this. And there goes another. They didn't care. They wanted it their way. So I was just like, okay, who am I to say anything?
That's so funny.
I wanted to be there with them. Yeah.
Do you have any other memories? Did they tattoo you at all?
Yeah. Not this one. Mike tattooed this one on me. I remember that one. Bear actually did my first real tattoo, which was my last name across my stomach.
Okay.
I got that when I was 16-ish. Yeah.
Okay.
He didn't want to do it, but we convinced him. He was like, just don't tell her. I was like, no, I actually had it for almost 2 years until about 15, 16-ish. I had it for almost 2 years, and when my parents found out.
Yeah.
And they only found out because the stupidest thing ever. I got in a fight at school. I got suspended. I was at home. I took a shower. I would usually change in the bathroom so they wouldn't see me. But since I was at home and they were at work, I was like, all right, well, I'll just put the towel around my waist. I was walking to my room, not knowing that my mom had late work. And then she hit the corner of the hallway, and I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And she's like, we're Hispanic, I'm Guatemalan. And she's like, ¿Qué putas eso? You know what I mean? And I was just like, in my head, I was like, wait, I'm just, no, pendejo eso. I was like, oh shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and yeah, she went off on me. When the fuck did you do that? Like, and I was like, I've had this for almost 2 years.
Oh my God.
You never said anything, so just go back to not saying it. She goes, of course, pendejo, I didn't know.
Oh my God.
That's how it started. That's how I started.
Did she tell your dad or anything?
Oh yeah, I got the talk, and ¿por qué te pusiste eso? Why did you put that on? And they didn't know I was tattooing. I just told them that I wanted it. It's my last name, and my dad's a funny guy, so he busted with what'd you forget your last name or something? Like, no, dude.
That's a dad joke.
Yeah, it's the thing to do. It was the thing to do. People would get it on their backs all the time, put it on their sides. So I wanted mine on my stomach. So yeah, and after that, I was just like, well, if you have tattoos, I'm gonna keep on getting them.
They already know.
So that was cool.
That's crazy. So what else do you remember from your apprenticeships? I think those are so fascinating to hear.
Apprenticeships, I mean, everybody's different. One of my favorite things about my apprenticeship is they took the fear of speaking to people away from me. I feel like I was shy growing up. I was, quiet kid. I've always liked to talk and make friends, but like, I only felt comfortable in my circle. Yeah. Now I feel comfortable in any circle. Yeah. Like I said earlier to you, I feel if you put me in a room with 100 people, I'll talk to everybody. Yeah. Put me in front of a camera, I'm a little shy sometimes. Yeah. But I remember where we were at, the tattoo shop was upstairs. It was a 2-story building and it had a balcony and it was a corner street, so we could see everything, right? And there's a bus stop. And I remember these assholes would tell me, go talk to that girl. Go give her the business card. Go get her to come in and get a tattoo or piercing.
Oh my God.
And I'm just like, really? I want to go talk to her. So they would make me go talk to her. Like, if you don't go do it, don't show up tomorrow.
Oh, damn.
All right. So I'd go over there, hi, how you doing? I'm Gabriel, I work up there, and then they're, woo! Oh my God. Go, I mean, then they didn't really help the situation. I'm all blushing. I'm not even trying to get her number. I'm just trying to convince her to go up there, but they're making it seem that I'm trying to, so
you're
she's
like into her.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh my God, like they made me do it so much. By the time I was done with that, I'll go, hey, what's up? Here's, we're blah, 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 blah. Here's a shop. We would love to come in and get you to get a tattoo and everyone, whatever I had to say to convince the person. And, now I'll go up to anybody and I feel okay talking. I mean, they took that fear of speaking, and I feel like it was part of an apprenticeship, but it wasn't like necessarily totally relating to tattooing, but it was something that they did to me that helped me, because when people walk into the shop, it's easy to talk to them now. I
think it does help you though, because like it's like customer service. Like, it goes like it's going to be useful in like any situation that you're in, but especially your business.
And then the thing with tattooing nowadays is just like they're for everybody. Yeah. There's like, it's not that small category anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because like, you're 36. Okay. So I'm 32. So we're kind of like same age group. But like growing up, like when I was in high school and stuff, like, yeah, it was still like taboo. Not too many people were getting tattoos. And then towards the end of like my high school, when I was about to be like 18, that's when like it started to get more popular. And that was around like 2010, 2009.
I still caught what I feel like maybe 3 or 4 years of before the before the tattoo boom.
Yeah.
Before the TV shows, before it became mainstream, before it became more acceptable. And I got into it because I love the honor of having your work on somebody, but I like the taboo-ness from it. You know what I mean? That not everybody had them. They were unique and they each told a story. I remember reading, like I said, through those magazines and the artists talking about their tattoos and what they meant to them and recording memories of their lives on them. Yeah. But not just that. Some of these tattoos were just for fun. Yeah. You know, just because you like something. Yeah. Not all the time does it have to have a meaning or something. But, right. But yeah, I feel like I still caught like a little ending of that taboo era. And then the shows came out. And the shows were...
You would say the shows like kind of started that?
I think they really made it more popular because people started watching them. And the shows kind of showed the other side of tattooing, the personal side of tattooing, where people were coming in to get a portrait of their grandparent because they were in the Navy, Army, or somebody to remember them. And the shows showed the stories of people, which made it more relatable to into society. Yeah. Which, in my opinion, was great for the business because more people started getting tattoos. But, I feel that it also watered down the business.
For sure.
Because now you have a lot of people that were trying to get into it because of what they were watching. I also remember growing up and them telling, there's no like tattoo schools really. First of all, I mean, there is now, which a lot of people in the main industry will kind of be frowned upon. We still consider it like a blacksmith trade. You learn as being an apprentice. And I feel like that's the best way to really get yourself the real knowledge of tattooing, because I grew up not being a job, not being, don't want to say not being a passion, because it is a passion, but more being a lifestyle, a tattooing lifestyle, because we have awkward hours, we have awkward things, clients, and it was just like, I was told just either you give into it and let it be your all, or just don't do it at all. Yeah. There's no halfway. And this is not a hobby. This is a lifestyle. You know? And we're lucky to call it a job. Yeah. Too. So
that's an interesting perspective. Because I think you could say that about a lot of things with just like nowadays, everything's advancing and stuff. And like, there's a lot of creative industries that are being diluted for sure. Including like making music. Like now anybody thinks that they can make music, and like you essentially can because like the equipment's already built for you. Yeah. But before, like being a DJ like was a little more intentional, Yeah. Or like that's just an example of like how I'm hearing you say like tattooing and stuff.
And I think it's great. The advancements of tattooing have shot us very forward with machines and things that they use now. For example, one of my favorite things that we use now in the industry, which we didn't have when I first started, is this the second skin recovery shield stuff that I put on you when I worked on. I think that
used to be saran wrap.
Yeah, a piece of paper towel with some tape or saran wrap and get the fuck out of the shop. You know what I mean?
Like with my tattoos are like about 10 years old, maybe a little more. And so when you did the recent tattoo, that was my first time having that.
Oh, that so I find that like amazing. It keeps the tattoo clean,
it's awesome.
Safe. You know what I mean? And it's funny because it's been around for a minute. It was just in the medical industry for something else, and somebody was smart enough to be like, "Hey, this would work for tattooing. It would keep the tattoo clean and safe, and
then it heals nicer.
It heals faster because when you get a tattoo, it's essentially a cut." Yeah. And when you get cut, you see first comes out your blood, and then that clear liquid comes out, and which is the plasma. And a lot of people just wipe it away and that's it. Well, that stuff is like good for you. Like the plasma helps you heal faster. So when you enclose the cut and that, and I'm sure you had a little bit of liquid inside, and you let that plasma do its effects to it, cuts the healing by a few days, and it heals faster. Yeah. So like stuff like that, like I think that's made the tattoo industry like way better. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? The safety, the cleaning. But forgive to say it, hate saying it, but you know, now everybody and their mama has a cousin that tattoos. You know what I mean?
For sure.
We're cool with that. We just say, you know, keep it clean, keep it professional, keep it at a shop, or you know what I mean, don't do it out of your garage. Make sure whoever's tattooing you has the correct equipment.
Yeah.
They're not using needles, because we do deal with AIDS. We do deal with hepatitis. We deal with other, you know, I've had clients that are, I forgot what it's called, but they don't, when they get cut, they don't heal so fast. So but they're tattooed, so they'll go to the doctors, they'll take a medicine so they can get something done. And, you know, other situations. But
yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, and then, you know, infections in a tattoo. I'm sure you've seen Google infections. You know, you just got to be careful with who's going to tattoo you nowadays, because just because they have a tattoo machine doesn't mean they're a tattoo artist.
Right.
That just means they have a machine.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back a little bit. So when did you open up your shop?
So I've been tattooing for a good amount of time. I opened up my shop 7 years ago.
Okay.
The same year I got married. So we've been open for 7 years now.
Okay. And then, so obviously I didn't know that you were inspired since you were like a child, basically, to.
Oh yeah.
So that was your goal long term. You already knew I was going to be a shop.
Yep.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
What were some of the challenges that you came across, like opening your tattoo shop?
Mainly building the clientele.
Okay.
You know, things were different back in the days. Things were cheaper. Rent was cheaper. But
was it always at the same shop?
No. Okay. I'm located in Gardena now. I opened it up in San Pedro. I did it in Pedro because it was the closest thing to South Bay. And Pedro is LA owned. So it was a little bit easier to open a tattoo shop with LA County than it was with any other smaller city, because there's a lot of requirements. And back in the time, some of the cities didn't have regulations into play to have tattoo shops.
Yeah.
So my goal was to open up, start small, and grow.
Yeah.
And that's what's been happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, 7 years ago, I opened up Golden Heritage. I started off by myself, and then I had a couple friends help me out, work with me, and the family's just been growing since then. And about 2 years ago, we moved from Pedro to Gardena, because Pedro, as lovely as it is, got a little too out of hand with me, with the homeless population and stuff like that. Okay. I had a beautiful sign that my friend Malix did for me that said Golden Heritage and gold leaf, pinstriping, all that cool stuff. And I was a victim of a bored homeless guy just smashing windows on Gaffey.
Oh, damn.
And that broke my heart, because one, it was beautiful work done by a friend of mine. Two, I paid a lot of money for it, and I think I've only enjoyed it maybe about a year plus. And then it went down.
Damn.
And then the second window went down. And then, you know, that came out of my pocket.
Yeah.
I paid for those windows to get replaced, and it broke my heart, you know what I mean? And they caught the guy that did it, but I mean, what am I going to do? Sue a homeless guy? Like, nothing that I can do. I took it as a loss.
Yeah.
And growing up in Torrance and Gardena area, you know, my dream was always to open up in Torrance, but
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah,
I know there's like a story.
There's a couple there's a couple tattoo shops in Torrance, and by the time, you know, I did that, well, like I said, I wanted to make it easy on myself, so I opened up in Pedro. And then when I got tired of Pedro, I started looking up at other places, and then one day I got stuck in traffic in front of the plaza that we're located in now. I looked over and it said Feliz. And then a day later, I found out that Gardena put regulations into play for tattoo shops. And I went down to the city. I asked if the spot that I had found was located according to their zoning codes. And they said yes. And I sold a classic truck that I had. I sold it. I jumped into my savings, and I said, let's move the shop.
Oh, damn.
And that's how we ended up in Gardena. One, I got a couple girls that work with me. So I wanted them to be safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Didn't have to worry about the homeless running around. Also, we were on Gaffey, so that traffic was always horrendous. We were playing Frogger sometimes to cross the street.
Yeah.
And I wanted something safer for the shop, safer for everybody, safer for the clients. And we landed at Strawberry Square in Gardena. And I've been there for, like I said, almost 2 years now, and I really love it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really becoming my home.
Good.
But that's how we ended up from San Pedro to Gardena. And like I said, many, many reasons of the move. We wanted a bigger shop.
Yeah.
We were outgrowing it. It was 5 of us in a small shop. We were playing Tetris with our tables. Now we have all the tables out and everybody can walk around fine.
Yeah, that's a good setup.
Yeah,
sure.
So
I was also going to ask you, because I didn't think of it till now, but like tattooing used to be more, and it still is, but like predominantly more males. And now.
Yes. There was a lot of females still tattooing. But again, like, I'm not going to give everybody a crazy history lesson, but there's amazing.
Please do. I would like to know these facts. These are fun.
Some of this history, I don't know it as well as I should, I'll be admitting, but there has been amazing female tattoo artists since the day of back then too. You know what I mean? The 50s and 60s. And there's a lot of places that, if you look up, that females have been tattooing for a while now. You know what I mean? It's just that now they're getting more exposure. But yes, it has been a male dominated, but real art doesn't have a gender. You know what I mean? Like, if somebody draws something, that doesn't mean they're, a guy or a girl. It just means it's art. So now art, and now tattooing is not just like your flash that you see in old school tattoo shops. Tattooing now is actual art that people are creating their own styles, their own creations, and putting it on skin.
Yeah.
So the tattooing has evolved too. It's I love old school tattoo shops. You know, I love going in, looking around, and just seeing all these amazing artworks from 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. But now you have your modern tattoo shops too that don't have none of that. They have not like fancy stuff, and some of these artists are custom artists. They'll draw for you. They'll make new stuff. You're not picking,
something off the flash.
But now it just depends on the type of person what they're looking for.
What are some things that are like frowned upon still in tattooing that maybe the newer people are doing now?
Tattooing at home. I've done it when I was growing up, but I wasn't really, when I did it, I wasn't really at tattoo shops. I was, so building the friends, clients, hey, let me tattoo you for practice. You know what I mean? But yeah, now that I'm a professional, now that I've been doing this for a long time, I can see where the older generation was like, don't tattoo from home. It's nasty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
You don't,
blood and stuff.
yeah, that, you don't know, if people have pets, if that cat was sitting on that area that you just set up and his ass was there the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't know. But in the industry, tattooing at home, don't do it. Just being clean.
Yeah, are people not as clean like nowadays?
No, a lot of people are clean. I feel like if you're, at a good shop, professional, but, I have an obsession with clean bathrooms.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's important.
I judge everybody by their bathrooms. I don't know. It sounds funny. It sounds weird, but if I go to a place, and I feel like if you have a really clean bathroom, that means you're really clean.
Yeah.
Because that's the last thing that people wants to do is clean a bathroom.
Exactly.
So if you have a really clean bathroom, I feel like the shop is clean. So I've gone into, not necessarily just tattoo shops, like restaurants too, but I've gone into places where I look at the bathroom, I'm like, oh my God, this is like, if they don't clean their bathroom, why would they clean anything else? You know what I mean? So I make sure at my shop, the bathroom is always spotless, always clean.
That's a good one.
You know what I mean? So that's a personal thing that I look at when I go into tattoo shops. Is the bathroom clean?
As far as like tattoos, is there any tattoos that are like frowned upon that people are doing, or like locations of tattoos?
I'm here to make people happy. If you want some weird shit on you, I don't care.
Because like when I first started getting tattoos, I started at 18, and one of the tattoo artists had told me that like it's like not for, it's a little more, and he's like a fucking like cholo and shit. So he was saying that it's like you're less respected when you have like hand tattoos and you don't even have a full sleeve.
I agree with him. I don't think it's like frowned upon, but it's like there's spots that you tattoo if if you've earned them.
Yeah, that's what
if
he was
you've
saying.
earned them, you know what I mean?
Like earning
So like
spots.
we're like for hand shots, yes, I think it's funny when nobody has anything on their arm and then they have a random tattoo. I was like, really? For me, it's like you're lying to people when you wear a long sleeve, you have your hand tattoo. It makes you think that you've earned your whole sleeve.
Yeah.
Then you're no, it's only. So I do agree with that.
Yeah. Or like, what about like
face tattoos as well? Like if you
Yeah.
come into my shop, if you're a young kid, and it's happened before because of trends and stuff like that, and you want to get a face tattoo, but you have nothing on your neck, you have barely anything. Most of the time, we're gonna say no.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I want to tattoo you, but I don't want to ruin your life. And even though tattooing has been more acceptable in the workplace, now you got your nurses, doctors, etc., lawyers, everybody with tattoos nowadays. There's still that possibility of that company looking at you different because you have something on your face. And I don't want to be responsible for that. You know what I mean? If you want to ruin your life and go into a ghetto shop that's going to say, fuck it, let's tattoo you and take your money, do it. I'm doing it because I love to tattoo. And if you're going to get a cool tattoo on your face, well, make sure you could back up with the trade or the work that you're in. Like, I'm a tattoo artist myself, so I could get my face tattooed, which I'm not because
makes sense.
I got a couple, but promised my wife that I wasn't going to do my face. So
I know. I told my boyfriend, I was like, I don't know if you should do your hand tattoos yet, because he still works in like kind of more like he works in IT, so he's doing like technical stuff, working with like white collar people and stuff.
You want to be presentable, you know what I mean? Which you can still be presentable. There's but
he has tattoos all over, but I was just like thinking about like the hands and stuff.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I always try to tell people to play it safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even though it's still acceptable, there's still people judging you.
Exactly. And like there's still a lot of like boomers that are like the CEOs or the owner of places, and
they're
like
the big dogs with the money. So.
Yeah, so they're still alive. So like we still have to like abide by like their shit sometimes, you know?
No, yeah. I totally agree with that.
Until we can do our own thing, because I think that's what I would want to do. Just like have our own businesses. Yeah.
Being your own boss is
tell me about that.
Oh, okay. So it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because, nobody's telling you what to do.
Yeah.
But the responsibilities are a whole lot different. You know what I mean? At my shop, I'm responsible for a few other people's lives. Not in that type of way, but like I have to be responsible for making sure that I'm bringing in some type of clientele to the shop. I have to be responsible making sure the bills are paid. I'm responsible for a certain amount of supplies at the shop, paper towels, liquids, the cleaning agents. And it takes a toll, It was funny because one of the artists today sent me, we have our group meme, and there was a meme of, and it said, what people think tattoo owners look like coming into the shop. And it's a person walking in and throwing down money and looking like you've made it and rich. And then this goes reality, and it's him walking with a bag of paper towel supplies and everything falling out of the place. You know what I mean? So it's fun. Nowadays of times, everything's super expensive. So it's like a profit, and it's holiday season right now. So it's a little slow.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I would think it would be a little more pick up a little.
We'll get to that in a
vacation.
Yeah. They're spending money in other places. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we'll get to that in a second, but being a tattoo shop owner, it's been great. Like I said, I'm living my dream. People say, being rich necessarily doesn't mean you have to have like money. You know what I mean? Bugatti or whatever. There's other forms of richness now.
Totally.
And I think I've been a rich man for a good amount of time now. I have a great family at home. I have people that support me. I have a tattoo shop. We're 7 years strong. We've gone through the pandemic time. We survived it. We're going through a small recession right now. We're surviving. Profits, whatever. As long as I get to pay my rent and keep everything until that time we are over and start, I'm happy, Like I said, I'm rich. Like I have a great team. Everybody supports each other. We're always pushing each other hard. They're always talking shit to each other in a good way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And, it's been a blessing being an owner. But the responsibility has hit harder each year, especially with the growing of the shop. My expenses at the last shop were like a lot less. Now at the new shop, we doubled down on everything. The shop's twice as big, you know, the supplies, I got more artists. So the financial responsibility is really, I think, really hard. I am a millennial. You know what I mean? I am trying to make it in this time.
Yeah.
And
it's competitive.
It is. There's a lot more tattoo shops now there was when I first started. But like I told my team, like nobody's your competition but yourself, because you can't really compare too much art with anybody else's art because everybody's individually different. So as long as you're positive, you work your ass hard, and be social. This is such a social game. You have to be able to talk to people. I used to go to bars all the time. I'm not much of a drinker, but I would go to bars just to meet people and hand out my card. Give out my card 10 times. Maybe one person shows up. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, for sure.
You do that plenty of times, you'll get more people showing up. So being social is a big, big part of this game. I mean, if you're antisocial and you're making it, you have a system. Good for you. You know what I mean? But I was always taught, you know, and I told my artists, when you're in a street shop, you don't wait for that door to open to get a walk-in. You go find yourself your walk-ins. You find yourself your clientele. Anything that comes through that door, I feel is a blessing. Yeah. You take that as a blessing. So your job is to go get it, not to wait for that door to open. Yeah. So if you wait for that door to open, you're going to take forever to build a clientele.
I was going to ask you a little bit on like advice for maybe like marketing or tips on like what you've
I'm old school. So my marketing is, talking to people, going to bars, giving out my cards.
So you still do that?
I still do that. Okay. I think old school would always keep on going. You know what I mean? I am trying to keep up with this whole social media trend, the posting, the videos.
It's exhausting, huh?
It is. Again, I'm not really always happy to be in front of the camera. Many reasons. But it's like,
I don't even like doing this. I like the recording part. I don't like the video part, but it's kind of weird that like there are some people that do like the video part.
Yeah, like I don't have a TikTok.
Okay.
People are like, we should get on TikTok, dude.
Is that on purpose that you don't have a TikTok?
I just don't. I'm not attracted to it. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't think
it's too much. It's like so
I'm not gonna go on here and do this and do your dances. That's not me. And there's more than that. I'm sure there is. It's just I got a Facebook for family and high school friends, and I barely go on there. Yeah. And then Instagram is my main thing. That's where I've built the most clientele off of it. Yeah. It's a free gallery for people. It's a free way to window shop.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Instagram is huge.
It is.
For like tattooing.
I remember when I first got Instagram, there wasn't that much of tattooing on there as well. You know what I mean? It was just pictures, and my roommate at the time was like, "Hey, you should get on Instagram. I've seen some artists from like New York." And I was like, "Oh, I got into Instagram because I wanted to see other artists. I wasn't really thinking about marketing myself on there. I wanted to study. I like to study other artists by looking at their paintings or their tattoos or their drawings or whatever." And I was like, "Oh, cool. There's other artists that I could study from and see what they're doing." And then little by little, it became a clientele marketing thing. And then I was like, okay, well, I could tell this person, oh, look me up on this, on my page, look at my work. And it became easier to get them to do that because people are lazy now. Yeah. So instead of getting them to come into the tattoo shop, look at your old school portfolio that you would have and go through the pictures.
Do you have one of those still?
I do. You do? Not at the shop, at home of my old stuff. But now none of us have any of that stuff at the shop. Yeah. Everybody's like, here's Instagram. it's easier for people, convenience has turned into a big thing nowadays. Everything's to your door. Yeah. Food. You sure you can call up a tattoo artist and be like,
this might be like too extra, but I'm like thinking like, what if you have like an iPad set up and then you have all of your like Instagram accounts?
One of my artists, Chubbs, mentioned having an iPad and having like portfolios of people. Yeah, that's what we're like, that'd be cool. But I have a hard time trusting society now.
For sure, they could just take it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, because I remember even back in the days when I first started, people stealing our portfolios at the shop.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and then they would take them to other places and pass them as theirs.
Oh my god.
And and then Yeah, I remember people stealing. I think I got at least 2 portfolios stolen. Then I was like, oh, great. Now I have to go to Walgreens and print out all these fucking pictures again.
Yeah.
And re-put them together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a lot of work.
So, I mean, if I get one of those bolt down things, I'm pretty sure. But in my head, somebody's going to come and grab it. I'm not going to run. I'm not going to run. Just fucking take it. You know, you're a piece of shit, whatever. Like, I'm not going to chase you down, trip and fall. I mean, 20 steps, I'm out of breath.
Yeah.
I'm not that fit type of runner. So.
Any other marketing advice or things that you've learned or picked up on? Obviously, you have a lot that you've learned.
Just be true to yourself and your art, you know. I was always told by my mentors, there's enough people for everybody.
Yeah.
Just be happy with what you're putting out. You know what I mean? Make sure if you're happy to show it, then people will be happy to see it. Don't get upset if people don't look at your stuff. You can't expect people to be happy. Mm-hmm. You could only expect yourself to be happy. You know what I mean? If it makes you happy, put it out.
Yeah.
That's it. If people like it, great. If people don't like it, fuck them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can't make people like your stuff. You could only put what you feel comfortable with and stuff. But love what you do. Draw your best. Put stuff out there that you like. And if people like it, enjoy it. If not, don't beat yourself up for it. You know, there's enough, like I said, there's enough people for everybody. So
I was going to ask you about, like, if you have any advice for people that maybe feel like discouraged by that sometimes when you're not getting, let's say, the likes or the follows that you think you're going to get.
I mean, I don't even get the likes and the follows that I would love. You know, I really don't have more advice than just don't pay attention to it.
Yeah. Or any advice for people that are looking to become a tattoo artist?
This whole like things, it sucks because, you know, for the younger generations, they feel like they're dependent. They have to depend on it. I don't. I just put, be like it, cool, right?
Yeah.
For the younger generation, just know, like I said earlier, like, this is a lifestyle. Yeah. This isn't a hobby. Don't take it as a hobby. It hurts if you think this is a hobby. I've given my whole life to this. It's my first love. The first thing I ever felt any type of what some people would say love to. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's my wife. First thing I've ever fell in love with, and, you know, and I can't leave it, you know. I love you, Susie. But if Susie told me, like, is it me or is it this? I would have I would have the hardest time.
Don't say this.
You know what I mean? Picking, because what makes me mm-hmm. is this.
Yeah.
This is the only thing I've ever known in my life.
You've been doing it for most of your life.
And even if I ended up picking my wife, which I would, I don't think she would be happy with the type of person that I would become, mm-hmm. because I would not be me.
Yeah.
Then she might leave me
mm-hmm.
for not being me.
True.
I'm an all-around artist, but tattooing is what I have the most passion for.
Yeah.
I paint. We took stained glass classes together, so me and her do stained glass. I do woodworking.
Is she an artist too?
I would like to say yes. I've seen her art skills. She has a little bit of art skills. She hides them a little bit, but nothing to say that she wanted to pursue it. Mm-hmm. You know? She's currently in what would be considered law enforcement.
Okay.
So she works for the Federal Reserve. Mm-hmm. And that's as much as I can say before I get killed. No.
Sounds like a legit job. Okay, so that's your advice.
If you get into tattooing, my advice would be just give it your all.
I think it's a hard career, right?
It is. Nothing comes easy. Just in anything, what you put in is what you're gonna get. Mm-hmm. I feel like I was fortunate enough because I started early. Mm-hmm. I'm on my second apprentice right now. And they both came in their early 20s. And I think, like, they have a better chance of getting there because both of them have living at home. They didn't have the responsibility. When you first start off, you're not making nothing.
Yeah.
Apprenticeship, I made nothing. Mm-hmm. I did 3 years of labor for free, pretty much. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's hard because we have bills to pay.
Yeah.
A lot of people live on their own or have roommates nowadays. And when you first start off, you're really honestly not making much.
Yeah.
And if you have that support, like living at home, not having to worry, I feel like you might get a little bit ahead because you can dedicate more time to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to be a tattoo artist and juggling a full-time job, you're going to limit yourself to what you can do in the tattoo industry.
Totally.
You know what I mean? So I feel like just if you really, really want this to be your thing, just give your whole life to it.
Yeah.
And you'll get there.
Okay.
If you don't, then don't get mad if you're not where you're at or where you want to be.
That makes sense.
So.
Totally. Okay, so we're almost out of time. Where can we find you? Do you have any shout outs or things that you want to say?
Yeah, I would shout out my whole crew. You can find us at Golden Heritage Tattoos on Instagram. My boy John J. Here, make sure I get everything out
Go
right.
Through the list. I had all these questions for you though, but we did run out of time. But it was a good conversation.
Part 2 another day.
Yeah, for sure.
I had fun today, and this is my first time doing something like this, and I really want to beat the fear and get my shop out there, and I'm doing it for them.
This is a start. I mean? Yeah, it's a practice run.
So, shout out to Chubbs at chubbspoint.rocks. Shout out to John, JT-G-Tattoos, Kim, Elise, which is my apprentice, Elise M.art. For Kim is KVMB Tattoos, and our piercer Juanita, Z Worth Art. They're all amazing artists. They're all amazing people. I'm blessed to have them with me. Yeah, and like I said, I'm doing it for all of them and myself, trying to get everybody out there and trying to keep up with this age, you know what I mean? The whole hard. Being out there and putting yourself out there, which I feel like for the older folks like me, and it's harder, and for this younger generation, super easy, but not to forget about the old stuff too. Yeah, that socializing, going to locations and giving out your cards.
Yeah, it's more intentional. Yeah, and personal, which is important.
Not just expect that door to open or to expect those posts to just boom, because you still have to do the footwork.
Yeah. Okay, so where's your shop located? Where can we find you on Instagram?
You can find me specifically at South Bay Finest _Gabe. The shop is located in Gardena, California. It is 1056 Rosecrans Ave, Gardena. We're in the Plaza Strawberry Square.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.